Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. I'm your host Vikrant. It is raining heavily outside, so let's start today's episode from indoors. The US LNG export boom was supposed to be Trump's big energy dominance movement. Now his own trade rules might blow a hole in it. So, what is the matter? By the end of this decade, or within the next 4 years, 1% of all US LNG exports must be shipped on US flagged and US built vessels. And the share will rise every few years. Within next 20 years, 15% of America's LNG must be shipped on tankers, both built and flagged in the USA. These new rules are proposed by the Trump administration to counter China's dominance in shipbuilding sector. So as of now, China controls more than half of the world's commercial shipbuilding market, while the US share has dropped to just 0.1%. Trump's plan is to revive USA's shipbuilding sector, and it sounds patriotic, it sounds strong, but it sounds impossible too. Here is the problem. As of now, the global LNG fleet has 792 tankers. 792. The US has exactly one US flagged LNG ship, and it was built in France. Building one at home will take years and cost 2 to 4 times as much as buying one from South Korea or China. America exported almost 1,400 LNG cargoes last year. One ship is already a joke. By the time Trump's rule kicks in, it will be a punchline. See, you cannot dominate the global LNG market if your fleet looks like it belongs to a weekend fishing club. So, this is not strategy, this is Trump's ego dressed up as industrial policy. He wants made in US stamped on LNG tankers, no matter if that means higher costs, slower deliveries, and losing market share to, oh, look, China. And it is not the first LNG blunder. Remember Alaska LNG? Trump rolled out a shiny plan with Japan for a joint venture. The centerpiece, a 800-mile pipeline from Alaska's gas fields to a port at Nikiski. Washington promised it would feed Pacific allies faster than Russia or Qatar, except no one in Asia wanted to buy in. Not a single Japanese or South Korean company put up equity, not even a non binding letter of intent. The experts called it financially shaky, financially unfeasible. The market called it too expensive. Meanwhile, Japan is still happy to buy Russian LNG because it is cheap, even if it means dodging EU sanctions to move it. Three Japanese owned carriers recently shipped LNG from Russia's Yamal project to Asia. The cargo was not directly sanctioned, so business went on. However, EU could not stomach it and imposed sanctions on all those gas tankers. And now the US expects those same buyers to pay more for American gas shipped on overpriced American made tankers that do not exist yet. That is not economics, that is energy blackmail. If you do not buy my gas, I will impose sanctions on you. Trump's LNG plan does not just miss the mark, it aims at the wrong target entirely. He is building a trade policy like he is building a casino, flashy on the outside, bankrupt on the inside. And moving on, JD Vance is living in his own slice of heaven, the kind where pragmatism does not exist and Putin is just waiting for America's approval before making any move. On the upcoming Trump Putin talks in Alaska, Vance said the peace plan is not going to make anybody happy. His exact words, I'm quoting, "We are trying to find a plan that both parties can live with, where the killing stops. It is not going to make anybody super happy." So let's pause right there. To Vance, this summit looks like a therapy session for American egos. Vance seems to think the US is calling the shots. In reality, this meeting exists for one reason: Trump failed to bully Russia. And not just Russia, he failed to push around its friends, India and China. Vance is delusional to think that Putin will sign anything that does not check every box on his wish list. The only plan that ends this war is one where Putin gets exactly what he wants. You may hate it, I may hate it, but it is the only practical outcome. Why? Because Putin's forces are winning on the ground where it actually matters. Vance also said with a straight face, I'm quoting again, we are done with the funding of the Ukraine war business. Well, sounds noble, except it is a lie. Because the same US administration is still shipping weapons to Ukraine through EU. Apparently, that does not count as funding the war. By that logic, if you give your neighbor a baseball bat and tell him to hit someone, you're not part of the fight. You're just helping. See, this kind of hypocrisy is exactly why Moscow is not buying the Alaska hype. Russia's deputy foreign minister, Sergei Ryabkov, has already poured cold water on the whole thing. He said any celebrations would be premature at this point. His words, forget detente, that is just not happening. And he did not stop there. He recalled how Russia dropped its self imposed ban on deploying intermediate range missiles just a few days back. Why? He said to cool hotheads in certain NATO countries. Translation: if NATO keeps poking, Moscow is going to make sure it pokes back with something a lot sharper. So, Alaska would not be a peace summit, it would be a staring contest. One side is negotiating from the battlefield, the other side is negotiating from a fantasy. And in the real world, fantasies do not win wars. Moving on, USA's pet poodle, Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir, is barking nuclear threats at India. And not from Pakistan, from Florida, from American soil. Yes, an actual nuclear threat launched from American soil aimed at Delhi. At an event in the US, Asim Munir puffed his chest and declared he could take down half the world if his country faced an existential threat in a future war with India. Well done, America. You have just hosted the first ever nuclear threat against a third country made live on your home turf. Historic moment it is. Someone bake a cake, please. This was not just any random speech, this was the Pakistani army chief's second US visit in 2 months. On his last trip, he was in the White House, by the way. The man got the full VIP treatment, a White House lunch with Trump on June 18th. He even recommended Trump's name for Nobel Peace Prize because nothing says peace like bombing Iran. And now he is Trump's new fanboy. He is also buying that freedom oil from America. But here is the bonus. In the same speech, Asim Munir is believed to have fired a verbal missile at India's and also Asia's richest man, Mukesh Ambani. So, Mr. Trump, let me ask you directly, is this goon, is this mafia boss your new South Asian ally? The same man India accuses of staging attacks on its soil, the same man you welcomed into the White House with open arms. Because let's be honest, these threats are not just random outbursts. This is the West warming up Pakistan to be India's Ukraine. A proxy, a disposable pawn, the same old playbook: arm it, feed it, flatter it, and then throw it into the fire. And if you think this is just bluster, remember the last time Washington picked a partner for a regional proxy war, half the world is still paying the price for it. And in the end, let's talk about Ukraine now. Kyiv's foreign minister Andriy Sibiga has rejected Trump's peace plan already. In a post on X on Sunday, Sibiga wrote, I'm quoting, no rewards or gifts to the aggressor to appease him, adding that every concession invites further aggression. Wow. Earlier, Zelensky also said the same thing. Same. These clowns are acting like they are the king of earth. Head held high, voice booming. The men talk like NATO is their personal army and the G7 meets in their living room. On 9th of August, Zelensky dramatically announced he will never give a single inch of land to Russia, which is cute coming from someone who is not winning the war, who is not elected, who is not popular, and who is busy choking his own anti graft agencies. It is like a guy in a sinking boat declaring, I will never hand over my deck chair. This week has been tough for Zelensky. First, he got the Alaska summit setback. And then, Slovak PM Robert Fico stepped up with a proverb that hit harder than a tank shell. He said, I'm quoting, whether elephants are fighting or having the S word, it is the grass that suffers. In this case, he said, Ukraine is the grass. Translation, Trump and Putin are the elephants, Ukraine is the lawn, and depending on the mood, it is either getting stormed or fertilized. Zelensky's team went nuts. Angry statements, sad photo ops, the usual look at me, I'm still important routine. But the week made one thing crystal clear. Zelensky is no longer at the adult table. The war is not about what he wants. The deals are not about him. And in the great animal kingdom of geopolitics, Zelensky is not the lion, not the hunter. He is just the lawn furniture in the middle of an elephant date night. And that is all for now. Thank you very much for staying with me. You're watching GNF.